Welcome to Knicks.com. I am Jonah Ballow, here with a special guest, Latrell Sprewell. Thank you so much for joining us.
Not a problem. Thank you for having me.
Here in Milwaukee, and it's been a while since we've seen you, and got a chance to see you on February 12th at MSG. What was your first reaction stepping into Madison Square Garden after, a while and not being part
Well,
of
it was
the
just nice to be back. The feel in New York, the fans, even just being out on the street in public. People still recognize me and still give me love. So I mean, just the way the fans embrace me, I still feel that same energy when I'm obviously was in New York and at the Garden as well.
When you make that walk in courtside, what's the feeling like? Do you get that energy? Do the memories start popping?
Yeah, the memories pop. You almost feel like you want to suit up and play a little bit. The Garden is so fun to play inside of with the energy we had. Of course, we had a pretty good team. So, I mean, we had a lot of fun, a lot of good games. And, yeah, like I said, it kind of makes you want to suit up a little bit, but I know I'm not. That's not happening. So.
You're looking in pretty good shape. I think
yeah,
you could.
not that good.
Knicks fans, they feel this close bond to that 99 team. It was the lockout year. You guys made that run as the 8th seed and got to the finals. Why do you think there's that special tie to that team specifically, aside from just the success you guys had on the court?
I just think Knicks fans in general are super excited about their teams, their sports teams. For us, we got a late start that year, and then we kind of came on late. It was a shortened season with the lockout. And for whatever reason, we got off to a slow start. But as the year went on, we picked it up, and we were the 8th seed. I think no one expected us to beat Miami. That's probably why some of the fan base is particularly close to that team. We were able to upset the #1 seed in Miami. And, of course, with the rivalry, the Knicks-Miami rivalry back then, that made it more special. There's a lot of reasons, but more than anything, I think New Yorkers are just crazy about their teams,
During that run, did you feel it? Did you feel the momentum and the New York fan base growing? Or was it something now that you look back on and you realize how special that was?
I think we had a game midway through that lockout season against Miami, and we weren't playing well, but we went down there and we got a win on the road against Miami, and I think we played here in Milwaukee next, but it was after that game we just clicked for some reason. Our team just took off, and everybody was on the same page, and from that point on, it was lights out. We were gone. So I think after that win in Miami on the road, we built some confidence, and we just had. I mean, our team chemistry was pretty good anyway, but for some reason it just didn't translate to the court until after that game, and once it did, I think we just, we didn't look back from that moment on.
And you could really tell the chemistry with that group. Take us inside the locker room with those guys and how it quickly became a group that had the camaraderie, it had the chemistry, and then also on the floor you guys were able to get some.
Well, it was almost two teams with because Chris Childs, Marcus Camby, and myself, we came off the bench.
Right.
Allen, Charlie, Patrick, and those guys started, so I mean, when we came in, it was like two different tempos. Mm-hmm. I mean, they were slower pace, which, didn't really hurt anything. But when we came in, we just pushed the ball. Chris pushed it. Myself, we ran. Marcus was obviously a big guy that can get up and down the floor. So LJ, Patrick, and those guys, it was a little more slower pace. Throw it inside, let those guys pound. But when we came in, it was a huge tempo change. So I think that was a lot of fun for us, and it made it difficult for the opponents.
We haven't seen you much since the retirement, and you've been out of the spotlight. Have you missed any of that since leaving the game?
The thing I missed the most is the playoffs while playing. I mean, there are two things: camaraderie with the guys that you form bonds with, and just playing in the playoffs. I mean, the energy is a whole nother level when you talk about making the playoffs. I mean, it's the whole new season. Nothing that happens in the regular season matters at that point. It's all about what you do going forward. So that's one of the things I miss the most, just the energy in the building. When you come into the building and the playoffs is on, it's a whole different feeling.
Now, do you miss that relationship you had with New York, being out of New York, living outside of the city? Are those some of the things that you look back on, and what do you think about that relationship you had with the city and the fans?
Well, yeah, I miss it, definitely. That's why one of the reasons when I was back for the game against San Antonio, it was nice to just feel that again, feel that love. But I had been back in New York a few times. So even just being out on the street, a lot of people still recognize me and showed appreciation. So that was nice. But it was nothing like walking inside the Garden that day. And, it was just a lot of fun.
we look back at your playing days and some of the great memories. Can you describe a feeling that you had, and one of those moments that stands out, and you can feel the fans' reaction to that specific point? We see some of the iconic pictures of you getting on a fast break and a high-flying dunk, and the fans going crazy.
Well, I think for me, the one in the finals against, I think it was Jaren Jackson or something like that, when I was able to dunk over him, that's a play that stands out. And we were playing Indiana, and somebody shot for them, and I got a loose ball and just took off and was down the court. I think I put us up 2 or 4 at that play. I forget which series it was because we played them twice. But Jeff's looking at me like, slow it down, slow it down. He wants to kind of stall it. But I had been used to playing at Golden State and just used to the up-tempo style basketball. When I got the ball, I just took off. So I guess after I made the layup, he was like, yeah, good play. So I'm like, oh, well, hey, it's just how I play, Jeff. Sorry, But I think he got used to it after a while. And, like I said, it was 2 different teams with myself, Chris Childs, and Marcus Camby versus the first starting guy. So it was a good tempo switch for us, and it worked. But I think in the finals, though, Checkers came down and said, hey, we're going to start Spree from this point on. So when we played San Antonio, I was inserted into the starting lineup. I think we missed Patrick in that more than anything. Yeah. We didn't have the size to go against the Twin Towers that they had, so that really hurt us. I mean, they were good. Timmy was young, and David was obviously the veteran for him. I mean, pop coaching. They're a good team. We weren't able to pull it off, but it was a lot of fun anyway.
Latrell, the 2001 All-Star Game in D.C., now you represented the Western Conference. This is your first chance to represent the Knicks in the East. What did that mean to you, especially to wear that, Knicks and go to that All-Star Game as a New York man?
Well, anytime you're considered you're picked for an All-Star and considered to be one of the best in the NBA, it's an honor. To represent the Knicks, obviously, was something I was definitely proud of. One thing I'll take away from that game more than anything, I think we were down 25 points or something at half, and they were killing us. And guys ran into the locker room and laughing, just, grabbing their fruit, eating, just talking. And I'm sitting there like, what's going on? We're getting killed out here. We're not representing the East. We should be out there competing better and competing harder than this. So Larry Brown comes out of the locker room. He's like, oh, okay, guys, we got to start going. Spree, you're starting. He changed up the lineup. And, it starts getting into guys about playing hard and being more competitive. So we go out there. I play maybe 4 or 5 minutes in the second half. He takes me out, and he put Steph in. And I think Allen Iverson that game got the MVP, and those guys just got on fire. Dikembe's blocking every shot that comes his way. And we go on to win. Allen, like I said, Allen Iverson gets the MVP. And I run out on the court, and Chris Webber was on there on the West, so I just threw my towel in his face. Was like, yeah, take that. You didn't think we were going to win. Yeah. So that game was awesome. Just to know that we were able to compete and come back and start playing with some fire, and I was able to come back and win that game. That's what I'll take away from that game more than anything.
You've been away from the game now for a while and have a chance to reflect on your career. What stands out, accomplishments, maybe regrets, things that you would do differently, if you would do anything differently when you look back at your career?
Well, I mean, I think everything that happens for a reason. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously there's some things that you would want to change, but, if you don't get those bumps and bruises through the course of life in general, you're not going to learn lessons, and those were life lessons for me. So as much as I would like to change some of it, I'm appreciative of it as well because it taught me some valuable lessons in life. So, I mean, I wouldn't change too much. One of the things that stand out, obviously, is getting drafted by the Warriors. I mean, that was big for me. Initially, getting to Alabama was a big thing for me, but I never really realized how close I was to actually making the NBA, so that was huge. The first playoff game there, playing against Charles Barkley in that series, was a lot of fun, even though we didn't get a win. Obviously, the '99 season going to the finals, that was great. And at Minnesota, being able to have the success we did there, having the best record in the NBA, that team was really good. I mean, we had, like I said, the best record. And I think if we had Sam and Troy Hudson on that team that year, I think we'd beat the Lakers and go on to win the finals. Honestly, I think we were that good. So, I mean, there are some regrets, but there are a lot of good memories as well.
Definitely. When you look at the game now, do you pay close attention to what's going on in the NBA?
Yeah, I play not super close. I mean, obviously watched the Knicks, I watched the Bucks, and Cleveland, Golden State, LA. So, I mean, there are a few teams I key on more than others, the Spurs. I mean, so the game is different, though. It's definitely changed. Just more up-tempo, more scoring. You can't be as physical anymore like you could. And the zoning rules are different. So there are definitely some rule changes. The size, I mean, it seems like guys are a lot shorter. You know, when I played, getting to the basket and getting rebounds, I mean, those big guys would elbow you and get you out of the way for stealing their rebounds. I mean, now in the game today, I mean, I maybe would play the 4 some. You know, I definitely the 3. Back in my day playing, that just wasn't happening. So, I mean, there's definitely some differences in the game today.
How many points per game would a Latrell Sprewell in today's game put up?
No, I couldn't tell you. I know one thing. I go out
35.
there. I play with a bunch of energy, a bunch of passion, and I'll be hard to guard. I'll tell you that.
You know, looking at the Knicks and the organization now, and you have a guy that's considered a rising star in Kristaps Porzingis. We see the game evolving and changing, like you mentioned. 7'3". Got to see him in person. What do you think about Kristaps Porzingis and what he can do now for this Knicks team?
I was surprised mostly at how good of a shooter he was at his size. He's going to get bigger. I mean, he's still young enough, so he's going to put on size. I think one thing he has to get better at is just dominating the paint with his size. But he's on the perimeter so much, you know, it's kind of hard to do for him. But I like to see him get inside and bang a little more. But that'll come as he gets older and puts on a little more muscle. But his touch and his awareness of the game and his confidence, he's a very confident young guy too, so that goes a long way. He's only going to get better. He has a huge upside, and it's nice to see him with the Knicks.
Okay, well, it's been great to catch up with you, and we want to know now, what's the future for Latrell Sprewell? Will we be seeing you at the Garden? Will we be seeing you making some appearances with the Knicks, and what's the future look like for you?
Well, yeah, I'm hoping that I'll be around a little more, and yeah, so I'll say yes to that. So I won't say hopefully yes, I will be.
That's great stuff as always. You know, we appreciate your time. I think the fans really, you know, seeing the reaction for you coming in on February 12th are glad to see you a part of this franchise and the memories coming back. So thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me again, and hopefully I'll be around soon.
There he is, Latrell Sprewell, right here on Knicks.com.